Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Old Charles, the channel where we dive deep into the history, value, and collecting secrets of rare and vintage coins from around the world. Today, we'll be exploring a very interesting piece of American coinage, the United States Jefferson Nickel from 1972. At first glance, it might look like just another 5-cent coin, but trust me, there's so much history, detail, and potential value behind this small piece of metal. So let's jump right into it. The Jefferson nickel was first introduced in 1938, replacing the Buffalo nickel. Designed by Felix Schlag, the coin featured a portrait of the third U.S. president, Thomas Jefferson, on the obverse, and his Virginia home, Monticello, on the reverse. That be why the year 1972. The Jefferson nickel had already been in circulation for more than 30 years, and millions of Americans were using it in daily transactions. This coin was struck at three major mints: Philadelphia, no mint mark; Denver, D mint mark; San Francisco, S mint mark, proof coins only. The U.S. Mint produced over 500 million nickels in 1972, making it a very common coin for circulation. However, despite the huge mintage, certain conditions, mint marks, and errors can make this coin valuable to collectors. Now let's talk about what everyone wants to know: the value in circulated condition. A regular 1972 nickel is usually worth only its face value, about 5 cents ***, since so many were minted. In uncirculated condition, MS60 to MS63, the coin can be worth between $1 and $3. Higher grades like MS65 and MS66 are much rarer, and collectors may pay $10 to $40 or more, depending on the mint mark. The proof coins minted in San Francisco in 1972, with the S mint mark, are especially collectible. These proof nickels can range from $2 to $15, and even higher for coins with special designations like Deep Cameo, DCM. But that's not all. The true hidden treasures lie in error coins. Misstrikes, double dies, off-center strikes, or nickels with improper metal planchets can fetch hundreds of dollars, sometimes even more if graded by PCGS or NGC. Let's take a closer look at the design on the obverse. You'll find a left-facing bust of Thomas Jefferson, with the inscriptions "I in God We Trust," "Liberty," and the date, *1972, on the reverse. You'll see Monticello, Jefferson's Virginia estate, along with the words "E pluribus unum," Monticello, 5 cents, and *United States of America. Most 1972 nickels were struck from 75% copper and 25% nickel, giving the coin its classic silver gray look. The coin weighs 5 grams and measures 21.2 millimeters in diameter. One of the most important factors in determining a coin's value is its condition. Grading plays a huge role in the world of numismatics. No wear at all, original luster intact. These can sell for several dollars up to $40 or more, depending on rarity. Proof coins are graded differently, focusing on mirror-like surfaces and cameo contrasts. The higher the grade, the higher the value. Many coin collectors include the 1972 nickel in their collections as part of a full Jefferson nickel series. Some focus on mint mark varieties, the no mint mark Philadelphia coins, the Denver D coins, and the San Francisco S proofs. Others search for high-grade examples to send for professional grading. Because Jefferson nickels are still relatively affordable, they're a great starting point for beginner collectors. At the same time, rare errors and high-grade examples make them interesting for advanced numismatists as well. To give you an idea of how valuable some of these coins can get, here are a few auction highlights. In 1972, D. Jefferson nickel graded MS66 by PCGS sold for over $200 in 1972s. Proof nickel with deep cameo designation sold for over $100. Rare double die errors for 1972 have sold for hundreds of dollars. So yes, while the average 1972 nickel might only be worth 5 cents, the right condition, rarity, or error can make it worth hundreds. So, to wrap things up, the 1972 Jefferson nickel might not seem valuable at first, but like many coins, its real worth lies in its condition, rarity, and possible mint errors. For collectors, it's an affordable entry point into U.S. coin collecting. And for lucky finders, it could be a hidden treasure worth far more than just 5 cents. If you happen to have a 1972 nickel in your collection, check its mint mark condition. And possible errors, you might just be holding on to something special. The history of the 1972 Jefferson Nickel is part of a much larger story of American coinage, politics, and design evolution. To really understand why this small 5-cent coin carries importance, we need to step back and look at how the Jefferson Nickel came to be and what was happening in the United States during the 1970s. The Jefferson Nickel series was first issued in 1938, replacing the Buffalo nickel that had been in use since 1913. The U.S. Mint wanted a new design to honor Thomas Jefferson, the third president of the United States and the principal author of the Declaration of Independence. A national design competition was held, and the winning design came from German-born American sculptor Felix Schlag. Schlag's design was chosen because it presented a dignified portrait of Jefferson and featured his home, Monticello, which symbolized Jefferson's love for architecture, agriculture, and the ideals of a self-sufficient republic. When the Jefferson Nickel first entered circulation in 1938, it became an immediate fixture in American pockets, vending machines, and commerce. The coin was struck in the familiar copper nickel. Alloy, 75% copper and 25% nickel. A durable composition that has remained standard to this day. During World War II, however, the metal composition briefly changed because nickel was a critical material for military production. From 1942 to 1945, the Mint issued what are known as the war nickels, which replaced nickel with silver, manganese, and copper. These coins are easily recognizable by the large mint marks above Monticello on the reverse. After the war, the Mint returned to the original composition. By the time we reached the 1970s, the Jefferson Nickel had already been in circulation for over 3 decades. America was going through a period of great change, marked by the Vietnam War, the Civil Rights Movement, the space race, and social transformation. Coins, even though small, were part of the everyday lives of Americans, and nickels were essential for public telephones, buses, parking meters, and everyday purchases. In 1972, the U.S. Mint continued producing the Jefferson Nickel at 3 facilities: Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. Philadelphia struck coins without a mint mark. Denver used the D mint mark, and San Francisco produced proof coins with the S mint mark, specially made for collectors. One of the most interesting aspects of this period in numismatic history is the high mintage. In 1972, the Mint produced hundreds of millions of Jefferson nickels to meet the growing needs of commerce. This was during a time of inflation, when the purchasing power of small denominations like the nickel was shrinking, but they still played a crucial role in circulation. The 1972 Jefferson Nickel design was still based on Felix Schlag's original work, though subtle modifications have been made over the years. Schlag's initial design for Monticello, for example, had to be revised in 1938 because the Mint required clearer, more architectural details. By 1972, the design had become iconic, with Jefferson's left-facing bust on the obverse and Monticello on the reverse, instantly recognizable to millions of Americans. It is also worth noting that the 1970s were an era before widespread coin-collecting booms of the state quarter program or modern commemoratives. However, collectors of the time still sought out proof sets and high-grade nickels. Proof nickels struck in San Francisco in 1972 were sold directly to collectors, often preserved in protective cases, which is why many of them survive today in excellent condition. Another historical point of interest is that coins like the 1972 Jefferson Nickel show how stable U.S. coinage design was in the mid-20th century. While pennies, dimes, and quarters underwent changes in design and composition, the nickel remained consistent. This stability gave the Jefferson Nickel a sense of permanence in American life. People who had nickels in their pockets in 1938 could still recognize the same design in 1972. From a broader perspective, the Jefferson Nickel also reflected America's tradition of honoring its founding fathers. Just as the Lincoln cent honored Abraham Lincoln and the Washington quarter honored George Washington, the nickel honored Thomas Jefferson, whose legacy was tied to democracy, education, and the expansion of the United States through the Louisiana Purchase. SO. When we look at the 1972 Jefferson Nickel, we are not just looking at a coin. We are looking at the continuation of a design legacy that began in 1938, survived World War II changes, and remained strong through the social upheavals of the 1970s. It is a coin that connects us to the past, to Jefferson's vision of America, and to the everyday history of millions of people who used it for their daily lives, buying newspapers, paying for bus rides, or saving in piggy banks. And that is why the history of the 1972 Jefferson Nickel is far richer than its face value. It is a snapshot of American culture, economy, and tradition, all preserved in a 5-cent piece. When it comes to coin collecting, one of the most important factors that determines value is not just the year or the mint mark. It is the condition of the coin. Condition tells the story of how a coin has lived its life. Was it passed around in millions of transactions, showing the wear of daily commerce? Or was it carefully preserved from the very beginning, never touched by human hands, its surfaces still shining with original mint luster? The 1972 Jefferson Nickel, like most modern circulating coins, was produced in very large numbers. Because of this, average circulated examples are extremely common and usually worth no more than face value. But here's the catch. Coins in exceptional condition, those with sharp details, brilliant surfaces, and no signs of wear, are much scarcer. That's where grading comes in. Professional grading systems, such as those developed by the American Numismatic Association, ANA, and widely used by services like PCGS, Professional Coin Grading Service, and NGC, Numismatic Guarantee Company, rank coins on a 70-point scale. This scale goes from poor, P1, where the coin is barely recognizable, all the way up to mint state perfect, MS70, where the coin shows absolutely no imperfections under magnification. Now let's walk through the major categories for the 1972 Jefferson Nickel in this grade. A 1972 nickel shows heavy wear. Jefferson's face is very flat, and much of his hair detail is gone. Monticello on the reverse may look like just an outline, with little or no architectural detail visible. These coins are common pocket change finds and are only worth their face value, 5 cents. Here, Jefferson's portrait has a little more detail, with some hairlines still visible. Monticello's basic shape is clear, though much of the finer design is worn away. These nickels may be slightly more collectible, but usually still only bring premium above face value. At this stage, Jefferson's hair and facial features are sharper, and Monticello begins to show its columns and steps, though with noticeable wear. These are decent collector coins for filling spots in albums, but not highly valuable. Jefferson's bust shows light where only on the highest points, such as the cheek and hair. Monticello's details, including windows and steps, are visible, though not perfect. XF coins begin to have collector appeal. These coins look almost new, with just the slightest traces of wear on the high points. The luster is mostly intact, and the coin looks very close to uncirculated. Collectors value AU coins more, especially if they come from the Denver Mint with sharp strikes. This is where things get exciting. Mint state coins MS60, MS70 have never been circulated, so they show no wear at all. Instead, the grading focuses on strike quality, luster, and how many small marks the coin picked up during production or storage. These are uncirculated, but may have several noticeable bag marks, dull luster, or weak strikes. Still, they're worth more than circulated coins. These coins are attractive, with better luster and fewer marks. They are popular among collectors building high-grade sets of Jefferson nickels. A 1972 nickel in MS65 is sharp, with strong detail on Jefferson's portrait and Monticello. It has bright luster and only a few tiny imperfections. These coins are much scarcer and can sell for $10 to $40 or more, depending on demand, and mint mark. These are superb coins with nearly flawless surfaces and outstanding eye appeal. Very few 1972 nickels survive in these grades, making them highly desirable to advanced collectors. Prices can climb into the hundreds of dollars for top-quality examples certified by PCGS or NGC, extremely rare for the 1972 nickel. If one exists, It would be a highlight of any collection and could potentially fetch thousands of dollars at auction. Now, let's not forget the special 1972. The San Francisco Mint. Proof coins are struck with specially polished dies and planchets, resulting in a mirror-like finish. Collectors prize these coins for their beauty. Standard proof nickels may range in value from $2 to $10, depending on grade. Coins with the cameo designation, where the frosted design contrasts strongly against the mirror background, can command higher values. Sometimes $20 to $50 the rarest, and most desirable are deep cameo DeSam proofs, which show an even stronger contrast. These coins, when graded PR 69 or PR 70, can sell for $100 or more. Another special condition to be aware of with Jefferson Nickels is the full steps FS designation. This refers to the steps of Monticello on the reverse of the coin. If all 6 steps are fully struck and visible, the coin is considered a full steps nickel. 1972 nickels with full steps are rare because most strikes from this era were weak, often failing to bring out all the fine detail. Collectors will pay a significant premium for a 1972 nickel with a full steps designation, especially in higher mint state grades. These coins can easily be worth hundreds of dollars, even if a regular example of the same grade would only sell for a fraction of that price. In summary, the condition of a 1972 Jefferson nickel can mean the difference between a coin that is worth only 5 cents and one that could sell for hundreds of dollars at auction. While circulated examples are common and affordable, uncirculated and proof coins, especially those with full steps or cameo designations, are rare and highly collectible. This is why collectors spend so much time examining nickels under magnification, looking for sharp strikes, clean surfaces, and strong details. Each grade tells the story of a coin's journey, from minting to circulation to preservation in a collection. The better preserved the coin, the more desirable it is to collectors and the higher the value.